So the first one I want to talk about is email newsletters. So who here is using email newsletters in your practice? Okay. For me, this is an absolute basic, almost critical form of marketing. Just like a website is critical to get patients in, I believe that this is critical to keep your patients in there, and I'll explain why I love them. But they are one of the most cost-effective forms of marketing. Imagine that you've got a favourite shoe shop or a favourite restaurant. Does the owner of your favourite restaurant know who you are? Probably not. No. Do they know where you live? Do they know when the last time you were there? Okay. You are in an ideal situation where you actually know, or I hope you know, all of your patients. True? You know all of your customers. And I'm using customers very consciously. Okay? You know all of your patients. Could you pick up the phone to all of your patients and ask them for their email address? Yeah. Would that be okay? Yeah. Okay. When they come back in for their checkups, could you update your form and just say, hey, we're going to start an email newsletter. Would you like to be included in this? Yeah. Remember, patients want to be communicated with. Who here has the time to spend with every single patient that they'd really like, to educate them and talk about the treatment plans, talk about procedures, talk about what's going on in your practice, talk about changes in your team, talk about new services you're offering? I'm guessing none of you have the time to be able to spend that time with your patients. Email newsletters are the way that you can do this. You know, because people opt in, you ask their permission. Okay, it's permission marketing. It builds the relationship. It builds your brand. It means that you are front of mind, which builds your referrals. It will make a difference to your treatment plans and your appointments. So what we see anecdotally is the practices that are running email newsletters will have responses back from people, from patients saying, oh crikey, I need to book in, and they'll just respond and say, I'd like to book back in. Example of a practice in Coffs who was just starting to do implants in the practice. So we did 12 months worth of email newsletters for him. Half of the email newsletters were general dentist related, half of them were implant related. I phoned him up and said, look, you know, the principal, how's it going? He said, great. He said, I had somebody come into the practice yesterday for his implant, and I asked him, how come you're here? You know, what made you come back in? He said, because you sent me the email telling me why I needed to come back in. Thank you for telling me that. I didn't know. So that patient thought that the practice had sent him personally the email on why he needed to come back in for his implant. One email, one patient, one implant. You do the numbers. Okay? It is a basic when it comes to patient retention. So who here is sitting there going, honestly, who is going to read an email? Thank you for your honesty. Okay? The people that are going to read that email are the people that know they need to come back in. The people that are going, oh, I know I need to get that implant, but the new iPhone 8's coming out. Yeah? Or I just haven't got time, I'll just put it off. And, you know, time goes, doesn't it? People are busy. Or people are saying, oh, I'm overdue for my 6 monthly check, or my 9 monthly check, or actually it's a 2-year check. Okay, I need to come back in. People are busy. People that know they need to come back in are the people that open the emails. Because it's just a touch point. It's a gentle touch point. It's another reminder. Okay, it's another form of communication with your patients. Does that make sense? It's a very gentle way of becoming front of mind. Because people just need that little gentle nudge, don't they? And you can inform them, you can educate them, you can tell your patients the things that you don't have time to talk about when they're in the chair. Or the fact that they haven't been in for a year or 2 years. Okay? You can keep them up to date. The thing that I really love about email newsletters is you actually can see who's opened. You can see who's clicked. So compare this to an ad in your local newspaper. Who here has run an ad in the local newspaper and they get a report saying 500 people opened page 24. 200 people read your ad. 80 people cut it out and put it on their fridge. You have no idea, do you? It's a shot in the dark. The thing that's great, or one of the many things that's great about email newsletters, is you actually get to see who's opened it. You get to see who's clicked. So for any of you that are on my database and got my email newsletter, I know who's opened, and I know who's opened how many times, and I know who's clicked. So if you knew who'd opened your email and who'd clicked 5 times on the why I need to come back in for my implant, who do you think you're going to be phoning tomorrow? Okay? There's a little app on your phone, you get all of the information. And here's some examples of the practice in coughs that I was talking to you about. And this is, it's a pretty small practice. He's got 916 people on his database. But out of those 960 people, 453 people opened the email. 553 people opened. And 81 people clicked on something in that newsletter. So it might have been make an appointment, might have been ask a question, it might have been why I need to come back in for my implant. But 81 people clicked. Who here would love the thought of 553 of your patients opening an email from you and 81 of your patients clicking on something you want them to know about? This happens every month. And the stats here are not the biggest practice and the most successful email newsletter. This is a pretty average practice with a pretty average response rate. And I've obviously disguised the patient's email addresses, but you can see who's opening. So Joe opened 6 times. Janet opened 5. Okay, who are you going to be phoning? So the reports show who's opened the most times. So it gives you instant feedback that you can take back into your practice. And because I know you guys like examples, I put a couple of examples in here, one from a general dentist, one from a specialist. So these are email newsletters that we've done, so it just gives you a bit of a visual idea of how you can build a newsletter. So, newsletters we think are great for promotions. I'll talk a little bit more about promotions later, but if you have a newsletter, you need to be talking promotions in there, if that's what you're running. So, number 1, you have your branding, you have a picture of your practice, your promotion. Articles, which are obviously appropriate, that your patients want to know about. Read more, read more, read more. So when I was saying they click, this is where patients could be clicking. And then obviously you need to have your links to your social media. You need to link to your website, links to emails, links for online, a little bit of a map. Okay, they're pretty simple. There's nothing really complex here. We see practices making a mistake where they put too much information in and they've got too many articles and they've got too many things for people to look at. Simplicity works. Don't overcomplicate it. Is anybody here a specialist? I'll quickly show you the specialist one. Again, different spin, because who's it going to? It's going to you guys. It's going to the referring dentist. So this is an oral surgeon. So things that he wants you to know. So there's what to expect from wisdom teeth extraction, dental implants. He's put some case studies in there. He's got some questions. Okay, this is focused on what his clients need. And again, all the links that you need, his locations, ask a question. Again, pretty simple, isn't it? So if you are considering email newsletters, and I really, really do recommend that you do, start gathering email addresses now. There's a script in the book. Go through your database, print out for your receptionist the people that came in the last 5 months, 6 months, get on the phone, say, hey, we're thinking about doing some email newsletters, can we add you to our list? Change your new patient forms, get people to opt in. Your existing patients, change the forms, get their email addresses when they come back in. Okay, start gathering the email addresses now. People often say, well, how often do I need to send the email newsletters? Monthly. Okay, every single month. You know, obviously it needs to look professional, it needs to be on brand. The articles have to be well written. Please don't buy them from, I don't know, somewhere online or steal them. And if you're thinking about doing this yourself, I really recommend that you write in bulk. So sit down in your huddles, you know, and say, okay, what articles can we write? Do a list, and then take a day and write in bulk. There is nothing worse and nothing more stressful than going, oh, I need to do my monthly email newsletter today. I've got to write an article today. If you've written 4 articles, you've got 4 newsletters. Okay, write in bulk, plan ahead. And I do recommend that if you are thinking about promotions, email newsletters is a perfect way to promote them. Does anybody have any questions? Shoot.
Done in a program or?
Yeah.
You said, yeah.
Okay. So I'm just checking my watch, see where we are time-wise. So the thing about email newsletters is legislation. Has anybody heard anti-spam legislation? You cannot spam your patients. Okay. You have to ask their permission to email them, and you have to give them the option to opt out. So there are specific pieces of software that run email newsletters. We use a third party, very clever piece of software, and at the bottom, let's see if I can go back. Okay, unsubscribe from the list. You have to be able to offer the unsubscribe from the list legally. So you have to use a certain tool, a certain piece of software that enables you to do this. And that software is the one that can show you all of the really clever results. Makes it very easy to manage. Does that answer your question?
Where do you get the software?
Sure. MailChimp. MailChimp is one that we use. There are many. MailChimp is as good as any. There are tons out there. It's free up to 2,000, which is on average, pretty average for a dental practice. And then it's got minimal costs if you've got more than 2,000 people on your database. It's pretty easy to use. It's got good iPhone app. It's clever.
So you're starting to do this. You've got your patients' email addresses on the medical forms already. Yeah. That's not considered that them opting in. You would have to actually ask
Correct.
every single patient.
Yeah. So this is when it comes back to APRA regulations, ADA rules. You know, I'm not part of the ADA, so this is where you probably need to go back and check with them. But yes, the rule is that you need to get people to opt in.
So you would have to actually find every single patient.
That's where you can change your consent forms. and have it-
That's exactly right.
That
Yeah.
would take,
You're talking
that
about,
would take a year, you know,
Yeah.
6 or a year
Yeah.
to do.
but you can change the procedures now.
Yeah, that's right, which is why I said start collecting them now. There are some practices that actually look at their consent form and go, actually, I'm fine. We've had it in place. So, you know, we're happy to have a chat afterwards or have a chat with Susie. You know, we can work with you and see what happens. Any other questions? All good?
Could you send them an email saying, we're going to be doing a newsletter? Could
Yeah.
you respond?
Yes,
on that?
absolutely.
And then it's just done.
Absolutely.
With all the emails.
Yeah. Okay. All good? All right.